Well, everybody, have you ever spent enough on a game to the point where you have encountered financial hardships as a direct result? Well, that is apparently the case for a lot of Japanese men in their 20s and women, but mainly men, as we see in the study. So this is definitely a problem. It kind of goes without saying, but yeah, definitely whenever somebody gets in debt, it's definitely no joke. So when you see a statistic that is showing that a large group of people are going into debt over, anything, in this case, a video game addiction, it's definitely a problem. Obviously, I don't know. I can't diagnose a video game addiction or anything like that, but yeah, it's probably some sort of a problem when you run into financial hardships as a result. So I got this from this Automaton article right here, and right away we see what the actual statistic is. 10.5% of Japanese people in their 20s report overspending on in-game purchases to the point of financial struggle. Yeah, that is a lot. I know 1/10 doesn't sound like a large statistic, but when you are saying that literally 1/10 of all people in Japan in their 20s, they're going through this, that's definitely a problem, and that is genuinely very sad. So we get into it right here. It says during 2025, 10.5% of Japanese people in their 20s experienced spending so much money on in-game items and gacha pulls, they ended up facing financial hardship. Now it says, while this may sound alarming, it is actually better than last year when this figure was at 18.8%. And it says the data comes from an annual survey that's conducted by Japanese financing giant SMBC. They do a lot of studies like this, and the sample is 1,000 Japanese men and women aged 20 to 29. And yes, I looked them up. They're definitely a legit financing company, SMBC. Looks like they mainly provide loans and different financial services, but they also, on the side, they do a bit of research like this. Now, I linked the actual study in the description if you want to see it. It's 44 pages long. It is in Japanese, so I did run it through Google Translate. So just a few highlights here from their study. It says 19.2% pay for games. Now, due to the translation, I don't know if this is just in-game purchases or if this is just paying for games in general. I think it's in-game purchases. So it's about 20% of Japanese people in their 20s, and they spend on average about 5,000 yen, which is about $32 US. Now, it also says 10.5% of these people said they had experienced financial difficulties, as we said, and that was due to in-game purchases. And it also says 18.8% said they had regretted paying for in-game purchases. Oh yeah, you get that post-purchase clarity of a skin on Fortnite. You realize you didn't need the Iron Man skin after all. And as I said earlier, the gender makeup of this is mainly men. So we see right here the statistic. 10.5% of people having financial hardships. That is made up of 13.2% men and 7.8% women. And then the 18.8% that said they regretted spending in-game purchases. That's made up of 25.2% of the men and 12.4% of the women. So it is definitely interesting when we look at all of this stuff. It really has a lot to do with finances. And as I said, it's very sad. I kind of chuckle at some of the things here and there because, we have to laugh through some stuff. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you are somebody who is experiencing something like this, or just to anybody that is going through this, obviously it's 10% of Japanese people in their 20s that are gamers. I really hope that people like this do get some sort of help, because that is definitely something that's going to get in the way of a lot of good stuff in life. And so overall, it looks like that this is a problem, but, well, thankfully, the problem has actually gone down surprisingly when compared to the previous year.